All of the discussions that we've had today have had one thing in common. Everyone keeps asking, how are you going to use AI as your project or as your chain moves forward? So closing us down for our large panels today, we're going to be talking about decentralized AI. At this time, I want to welcome an amazing moderator who's going to take you through this discussion, Mr. Ethan Pierse, the founding partner of Borderless Ventures.
All right. If you're waiting outside, feel free to come on in. You're not going to want to miss this. This is the best thing of 2 days of amazing content. I promise you, this is a rock star panel of incredible people. You don't necessarily have all their names up there, but they're going to go through and introduce themselves and tell you why they are going to tell you why the agentic economy is going to be the biggest thing ever. And that's what we're going to start with. My name is Ethan Pierse. I live here in Paris, but obviously I'm an American with my loud American-sounding voice. But I've been here for 20 years and very bullish on what is going on, especially in Europe and with European sovereignty around cloud and AI. The agentic economy is going to be a very cool conversation. So we've got all kinds of layers there we'll get into. I'm the founder of Borderless Ventures, which is based in Estonia and in Singapore. I've done a lot of crypto for the past decade, but I'm actually very interested more so in AI, SaaS, fintech. I have a book coming out called The AI First Economy, which is all about how generative AI, agentic AI, low code, and the creator economy is basically transforming how we start and build companies. And it's completely the new way that everything is being done to have small teams create really interesting and maybe very big companies with not necessarily a lot of humans in them. It's a fascinating space. It will touch on maybe a small amount of that, but the agentic economy itself is our big conversation item. We're going to hit it from very different perspectives. It's a whole bunch of rock stars here with very different jobs, but all very interesting profiles. So to that point, I'm going to let them each introduce themselves to give you context of why we are all here together. We can start with you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Huang. I'm one of the co-founders of Glider. Glider is an automated investment platform for retail users. We are about 1.5 years old and one of these very small teams that we just heard about. We're backed by A16Z, Coinbase, Uniswap, GSR, and a boatload of other folks. And part of our mission these days is to bring actual investable real-world assets like stocks, bonds, mortgages, credit, you name it, to real retail investors, but fully on-chain. So, yeah.
Gauthier?
Hey everybody, pleasure to be here. My name is Gauthier, so I'm the co-founder and CEO at Zyfai. I've been building products in the DeFi space since 2021. And so Zyfai is a yield agent. It basically enables you to find the best risk-adjusted yield across the DeFi markets. So far we have 9 million under management. We've moved $2.3 billion of funds with 0 incidents so far. So thank you.
Daniel?
Hi guys, my name is Daniel Seifert. I'm Regional Managing Director for Coinbase in Europe, Middle East, Africa. Hugely excited to be here today, which is going to be a fascinating topic, I think.
Cool. Petrix?
Hello, everyone. My name is Petrix Barbosa. I'm the CEO and founder of Matchain. It's a pleasure to be sharing the stage with those celebrities and stay here in Paris in this beautiful conference and at the Louvre. Matchain is a blockchain focused on identity and data sovereignty. And when we talk about identity, we have our main product inside the blockchain, which is called Match ID to verify unique humans. But the birth rate right now of agents is way bigger and higher than humans. And we are working hard as well on the KYA, or Know Your Agent. And I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about this today. And part of this process, we work already with many projects, IPs, and we are the exclusive digital identity partner of Paris Saint-Germain, the local best football club in the world right now. And we're very proud to be here, and thank you very much.
Awesome. Isaac?
I'm Isaac. Hello. I'm co-founder and CTO at Spectrum Nodes. We enable anybody building on Web3 or traditional systems to connect to Web3. We run around 220 blockchains, and we help you integrate into these systems. We've been doing this for about 8 years. We run a ton of hardware out of our own data centers. Very happy to be here and we've been using AI more and more, and excited to see the future.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Well, for those of you that are kind of hanging out back there in the back or on the sides, there are seats up here in front. Feel free to come in and make a new friend. First 2 rows, there's a couple seats in there, so there's a bunch of you standing. So if you want to sit, feel free. Raise your hand if you feel like you're pretty confident about what agentic AI means. Everybody pretty good? Yay? Okay. How about the agentic economy? Or the agent economy? Does that mean something to you? Okay, very good. Well, that's why I want to start with the first question is, hey, what's agentic AI and what's the agentic economy? Maybe that's, before we get into maybe some of the deeper, interesting topics we're going to hit, just each of you, if you want to give like a 30-second idea of why do agents, so why does these little AIs that are doing a very specific thing, why is it going to matter that there is an economy around that? What does that mean? Why does it need to be maybe crypto instead of historical legacy finance? We'll get into those questions maybe in detail, but I'm just curious as to, you're on a panel about the agentic economy. What does that mean to you? Why are you excited about that?
I can kick us off here. This is going to sound a little bit future-leaning, but really there is going to be an alternate universe of people and agents that are transacting in this entirely separate economy. You could imagine you have your own agent. It goes through agentic storefronts. It buys things. It sells things. It has agentic friends. It does all of these things. And so that is an entirely parallel economy to what exists today. And that will only get bigger. And actually, it'll transact way more than our existing economy because agents can do things quickly and entirely on, hopefully, crypto rails. So yeah, that's sort of the glimpse into the future.
It's a tough question, I must say. I mean, for me personally, the way I see the agentic economy moving forward is that people are going to have their own agents. They want to have to do specific things for them. For example, like buy things or generate yield, generate assets. And you need a system which is permissionless and without any censorship resistance. And blockchain provides this. And things needs to be automated and accessible to all, and I think the agentic economy is just going to keep evolving into that direction.
I agree, and I think the guys already hit on a couple of very interesting points, which is, well, one, it's very hard to predict today what it's going to be like in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but I think it's so easy to see that this possibly could surpass any sort of human economy that we've seen so far very, very easily, right? And I don't know, is it going to be a 10x? Is it going to be 100x? But I think just the sheer speed and the multiplicity of agents that can exist out there and how they will interact with each other, that will easily surpass anything that we've seen on a human scale and human level. Now, I think there'll be a lot of challenges to solve along that way, right? Like, you mentioned proof of identity and KYA, and it needs to be permissionless, etc. Now, I'm sure we're going to get into all these details along the panel. But I think, if you want to be excited about one thing, and, that's why I think they sort of announced that this conference next year is going to be called Signal Conference, right? Which is the convergence of blockchain, so crypto and AI. I think anything to get excited about, it's that kind of convergence.
Exactly. Thank you, Daniel. It's really tough to be the fourth in the position here because they already nailed the good luck to you. Next. But basically, it's the same.
And just say yes.
Yes. Next. So it's the same punchline because I think I was a speaker last year, proudly in this conference as well, and this was not even a hot topic by the time. So how fast we are improving on this topic? How OpenClaw was nothing, and we hit how many likes on GitHub just recently. So this is evolving really fast. This is one thing, and this is undeniable. The other thing is who's verifying it. So we suffer so much, institutions and big exchanges that trying to work with the global spectrum with the real money and verifying people. And suddenly, right now, we can create digital clones and make them replicate our actions without proper verification. So I think the agentic economy will come a lot, not just on the execution, because definitely they're going to help us to execute, to be more efficient, but also on the meaning. And that's what we are focused on, the meaning of every single agent executing. And I think the real economy is going to be this, on the meaning, what is behind the agent execution, on the finance system or on the behavior, and so on.
what they said, basically. I think blockchain will bring trust and verifiability to agents. The decentralized nature will also help. English is not my first language. I'm sorry. Blockchain will help us trust the agents which are running. I think it's going to be a very interesting future, and I look forward to being a part of it. There's going to be a lot of agents out there, probably more agents than humans running on the system. So excited.
So to glue all that together, all of you that are making your cat memes on ChatGPT or all the useful stuff you're doing during the day with your generative AI, well, if you glue all those automation steps together and you just let them run on their own, those are agents. That skill or whatever you want to call that thing, the pieces that are doing their individual tasks, those are agents. Well, agents are going to have to pay for things. And so when they need to pay for things, that's the agentic economy. So whatever that means, your Tesla, you're charging it and it decides to pay the bill on its own, or you're something as simple as a lot of APIs. If whenever you use services, like you pay your bill every month because you use whatever the services are, like if you use OpenAI for ChatGPT or use Gemini, but all the other things that you pay an access to as an API, a lot of those are actually going to go to pay as you go. To where whenever you send that request to, I don't know, you want to send a WhatsApp message to everybody and it's going to cost you 0.0013 cents to do that. Well, instead of getting a bill at the end of the month that you have to pay, well, actually, you could just pay that with the stablecoin in parallel, and now it's just done. And so the agentic economy is going to be all those little steps that are running on their own. When they have to spend or receive money, it's going to be powered by some system. So the first question is, and whoever wants to jump in on this one, why does it make sense that this agentic economy is tokenized, so stablecoins, digital assets, instead of legacy finance? Why is that an important discussion?
I mean, I think the original question is, how does an agent get a credit card? Yeah. Right? Like, they're not going to be able to apply on American Express or Visa or MasterCard's website for a card. And then the second sort of argument around this is credit cards are not good at sub-penny transactions. And so to your point of like sending a WhatsApp message for 0.00013 cents, a credit card couldn't handle that. And so for a number of reasons, that's why crypto is a better rail for this. And of course, there are other reasons too. And now there are whole protocols around agentic payments like X402 and MPP from Stripe. So, yeah.
Daniel, thoughts? I know that's a big conversation.
I'm not going to say no, but I think this is the sort of, I've seen part of this conversation play out this week, right? Because you have like, look, and I love Paris Blockchain Week because it brings together TradFi and crypto or blockchain. Like I think, some of the more traditional payments players, I think they're sort of more of the mindset, hey, we've got the infrastructure, this is tried and tested, it's going to be the credit cards, right? And, then you've got like some other people in the room, and like myself included, they're going to say, no, it's inevitable this is going to run on crypto payment rails, right? Because this has to be global, this has to be sub-second, sub-cent, this has to be permissionless. You're not going to have like agents. Like nowadays, I see people that sort of say, sure, I'm going to give like my credit card to the agent and then it can sort of run around with that, right? But I think we're going to see agents spawning agents and agents managing agents. And then when they spawn new agents, then how do these agents sort of get like new payment wallets and so forth, right? So I think, it's, like I said, it's kind of inevitable for me that it's going this way.
Yeah, and wallet, like a lot of the wallet providers already have a lot of guardrails where you could say you can only trade on these tokens or you can only trade on this DEX. So I don't think like any credit card providers will provide that, and you can whitelist addresses, so definitely blockchain makes life much easier.
So obviously we're at a crypto and blockchain conference, so we're going to be fanboys about the technology and think you need to stick it to that thing and make it work on that thing, and that's always been a common issue in crypto or blockchain, is it just could be used for everything. But this is actually the use case. This is why it makes so much sense. This is one of the main reasons why the rails of crypto can actually solve a real problem. But let's flip it around just to understand that point differently. Why can the agentic or agent economy not work with the legacy financial system? What breaks?
I think I can just.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, eventually, if an agent has a business and runs a business on its own, how can it pay another agent without, having to use a credit card? That other agent would also need to subscribe as a credit card provider, install all the different infrastructure to enable payments. So at the end of the day, if you just want to have an agent to do a specific task and pay another agent, the only way to do so is with crypto. And it's, for example, what Coinbase did with X402, it enables this. It's the best use case, even though we're not seeing many agents right now, doing things or working with each other. It's still mostly like, in test phase. But, crypto enables this, enables agents to work with each other and pay each other for specific tasks.
Petrix?
I think combining a little bit like the last question and why this could fail in crypto, not being the bias because we are here for this. It's a little bit about the crypto agents can touch crypto, cannot touch fiat or the credit card directly. And even if it could, I think agents like mold the society that they can create. They could collapse the bank system at some point. Because it's not like crypto. When you transfer one stable coin to other, we are sure that that money is transferred. When you see your money on your bank account, on your application, it's just a number moving, but the money is not moving literally from any place to other. So we don't know how those agents AI could act with your real money. And second part is, where you could fail is because I think more on the human side, the regulatory side, because Daniel probably will know this pain 10 times more than me, but we don't have some coherence on the stablecoin world. So agent gonna use USDC or USDT, and Mika doesn't like USDT.
Obviously.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. But you know my point. So there's there's a dominance globally about one stable coin. So we still, as an industry, don't have this coherence. So there's a lot of things that needs to be shaped until these have some clarity. So this, I think, could be one of the reasons that fails or stagnate a little bit, in my opinion.
So that kind of gives us an idea of why, if we have an agentic economy, if all these agents need to transact in some way, it's going to have to be tokenized. It has to be crypto. Okay, that's fine. What's the value of that? Why does this matter? How big could this thing be? What does the agentic economy potentially look like in numbers? Who wants to throw out a big number there?
Well, I did some research, and McKinsey said that the agentic commerce by 2030 would have $3 to $5 trillion of volume over the years. So, these are numbers. You don't know how it's going to grow eventually, but I think as businesses grow, they all have their own intelligence, their own agents, and maybe you could have business running on their own and just buying things and transacting. So could go way bigger, but this is the numbers I remember from McKinsey.
I don't know how big it's going to grow, and it's like, if I've learned anything over the years in crypto, it's like almost futile to try to predict because you never know. But I think the point of reference that I find interesting is last year, globally, we settled 30 trillion in stablecoin transactions, so the volume, right? So, and that is already existing, right? Like, this is already what happened last year, right? And so I think, just as a reference point, this is what humans are driving this, right? And now just think about the sort of, you 10x the speed of that because it's agents doing that. And nowadays I think a lot of systems, and I guess we can have different views here on this on the panel, is still human in the loop. But it's quite easy to conceive a future where there'll be no human in the loop, right? And this is certainly what, with people already mentioned X402. With the X402 protocol, we're definitely building towards this future, right? This is sort of what we envision. And it could just go so much faster than what we have today.
I'll tack on to that. One of the difficulties of blockchain and AI is the fact that there is finality, right? So if I send some money to somebody and I send it to the wrong person, it's gone. There's no way to get it back. And so for all of these agents, they need to have guardrails, they need to have specific constraints. And if we think about this from an AI perspective, we need to think about them operating in some form of sandbox with some form of harness on top that actually ensures that they are actually doing deterministic actions with these guardrails. And I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're building the tools to get us there. Imagine if somebody just typed into a box, send Joe $5 million, right? You better be darn sure that that's going to the right Joe. And you better be sure that if somebody said, send Joe $5 million, or they said, I want to send Joe $5 million, or hey, send my friend Joe $5 million, that we can actually translate from natural language to fully deterministic output.
Yeah.
Isn't that the case with instant payments on SEPA? Nowadays, if you send an instant payment, I guess you can't get it back. So, and you can send a test transaction and make sure that you received it.
I don't know a lot about SEPA because I'm from US, so but yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, in the past couple months, there's been a lot of very interesting stories on Twitter and elsewhere about people using Claude Code or this OpenClaw or other things that basically these are beginning tools now that are allowing us to create agents or agentic workflows, and them becoming a kind of self-running in certain ways, and those people giving them a little bit too much access, and the agent deciding, oh, I've got the credit card number, that looks cool, I'll buy 10, and just kind of goes and does what it wants to. So we definitely need to figure out how to keep that boxed in. So maybe that's a good thing we can move forward to next is, where are we at then if machines are going to start paying each other? What is the infrastructure that we need? And maybe what are some of the, where are we at with that? So if the first one or two want to kind of say what's the infrastructure maybe we need, and then if anybody else has some additions of where we're at or where we need to go.
Yeah, no, very, very happy to start on this. And, I'll very naturally make a case for X402, right? But I think, it's 3 or 4 kind of things that we need for this to happen, to really come together. I think you need a protocol to enable this, right? Like, so if you're going to go to the resource, you want to make the request, you hit a wall, and then you get hey, you can't do this, you got to pay first, and then you sort of overcome it by kind of paying, making that send, right? I think that's the protocol at the base layer. I think then what you want to have on top is this sort of, call it directory, or, we sort of, in X402, it's named the bazaar, of actually discoverability of services, right? Like, because how do the agents even learn about what they can buy, right? And they want to buy API access, they want to buy compute, they want to buy whatever. It could be just e-commerce, right? So I think there needs to be like a directory of services, right? And then probably like an intelligence layer above that makes this kind of accessible and easily searchable. And then lastly, and in the case of Coinbase, we'd say this is sort of the base ecosystem. Then you sort of want like rails on which this can run sub-cent, sub-second, so that yes, you have the finality, but obviously if it costs me like $5, $10 just in gas fees to kind of settle that payment, then none of this makes sense.
And this is pretty much what we are focused on and building right now, and talking even about like how big this could get, which nobody could have this answer. But I see, not as a bubble, but I am afraid that it will get as big as much until something really bad could happen. Because imagine like we were just giving the example to transfer 5 million to Joe, could be in way bigger amounts. And then if this goes wrong, someone has to be blamed. And who are you going to blame? Some head will have to roll. Compliance, regulatory, auditors that will come after you. So how do you know that agent has a real human sending the order? What is the identity from their agent? So I think like what we're building right now, and the process should be like identity for the agent, permission, and then action execution with their on-chain receipt, with the whole track record, the trail. And then this question comes. This should be done by a specific company, a third-party company, or by the internal company. Like even on your case, for example, Daniel, like let's give an example for Facebook. When you want to audit Mark Zuckerberg about the data, if he comes with his own team of policy and presenting, that's not fair, right? So sometimes it's more important a third-party company, especially in identity, to authenticate agents than the internal policy alone doing the job.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, agents will need to have a reputation, and there will be, it's inevitable, big companies will be behind these agents. Like, we're already seeing the established players in AI, and people will trust them because people trust somebody to blame. And if a company, messes up, then there's somebody to blame. If you're just using a random AI agent and then it steals your money, I guess it's your fault. It's human nature.
Yeah.
I'll put out a bit of a hot take here. There are a lot of companies in the space right now working on permissions and trying to codify permissions into smart contracts and things like that. From my perspective, entirely a waste of time. Like, if you're trying to put this stuff on chain, saying like, oh, I can only spend $500 on Uniswap, Okay, but like, what about a month from now? What about a week from now? What about once, we change jobs or something like that? It's entirely a waste of time. When you give your money to a bank today, you trust them and they do things for you. Coinbase is going to do this inevitably, and they're going to have control without permissions, and you're going to trust them. So all of these companies, and I don't know if there are any here, but that are wasting their time on permissioning and permissioning systems and putting these things on chain, normal people don't care. They're just going to say, hey, Coinbase is doing this. I trust with them. I trust the brand. And that's where some of these guardrails aren't necessarily needed. But they're needed maybe at a Coinbase level.
But that's the question.
And I think if we could easily find plenty of examples. A French bank a couple years ago had a really big billion-dollar one of humans pressing the wrong buttons. So the reality is there will be some bumps along the way of the agentic economy of the agents doing bad things, and some of them will be, probably there'll be one or two that are really big and that are going to kind of break a bunch of stuff and cause doubt on the system and whatever. But the reality is once that system is running, it will be the amount of errors will be a magnitude lower than what humans are doing. And
it's like self-driving cars.
Yeah, and so we just have to get to that point. So then where are we? Maybe in this stack of what it would take for an agent to be able to create or own an account, be able to hold, manage funds, be able to transact. Where are we at in that stack of all these things? Do we have it all already? What are we missing, or what's to be done?
Yeah, so on our side, the way we approach this is that each user has his own accounts. And then they use what we call session keys. So it's basically like giving policies, specific rights to an agent to do specific things. And so you're giving some sort of constrained rules of what the agent is allowed to do and not allowed to do. But then you cannot have an LLM do the execution, because at some point LLMs can hallucinate or make errors, right? We all experienced it ourselves. So for us, the way we approach this is that AI helps us improve our models, helps us monitor risk better. And at the end of the day, the execution is purely deterministic. But you have this sort of permissions that you're basically giving to the agents for him not to do any errors. And so far, we've been building this for 12 months, and it's been working really well.
Yeah, I would say, fascinating question, right? But I would say we have the starts of the the beginnings of the infrastructure for this. The hard part will be the adoption, right? Because okay, great, I have agents, but now they want to buy something. So what can they actually buy, right? So people, it's a bit like, starting any marketplace, right? Okay, you have the stalls, people say, but now you need the goods that are on the marketplace, right? And you need the buyers that kind of come and want these things, right? So I think that is sort of where I perceive where we are at the moment.
I think the regulation is also a problem. I was recently trying to buy some compute with crypto without doing KYC, and it was not possible. None of the reputable providers accepted crypto payments without KYC. And then you have the issue with the regulation where if a repeat customer, there is a certain amount where you can transact without knowing your customer. However, if they do transact with you over a period of time, then they become a repeat customer, and then you need to know who they are. So how do agents, do the same transaction over and over again without,
Yeah, I think this is a good point. For example, I think a lot of people here would not trust an agent with money, right? And in order to bring this trust and to have people start using it, we need more people to use it. We need more TVL. For example, on our side, the total TVL in the yield agent market represents $60 million, which is really low. But as times evolves and that TVL grows, and we're seeing people use these agents for generating yield, I think at some point, as the TVL grows, people will start using these agents and see that they work correctly.
I mean, why would you not trust an agent versus a human? An agent, as long as the programming or the model is right, it's it's gonna, it's not gonna do anything malicious. Whereas the human might be malicious and steal your money. Whereas the agent, if it's programmed well, it's gonna stick to its guardrails and do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, but there's something that
I think we've all used ChatGPT or Gemini enough and asked it for an image, and it gives us something back, and you're like, what the hell is that? That's not what I asked for. If that's what we're projecting onto agents, it kind of comes with the idea of the agents like, yeah, okay, I realize you want me to buy you a Toyota Corolla, so I went and bought you the Lamborghini that you asked for. Hallucinations can't happen.
But not just the hallucinations, why would you not trust an agent to make a transaction? Because I believe it would be very difficult for an agent to predict Trump's tweets at some point. So it's not just about the logic. It's not just about everything. There's the whole fundamental. There's the everything happening around the world. So we know there's a lot of things happening fundamentally, and with war, with Trump, with the economy, even the Genius Act that we have, beautiful. But start to go and process by process, and you're going to find a lot of blockages inside it. So with the agents, it's the same point. So I believe that we will get there, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Well, if an autonomous agent, either through a bad strategy or through a hallucination in AI with generative AI is basically when you ask it something and it makes up the answer, because generative AI is just a guessing machine. It's just a really smart thing that says, oh, I think what you meant was this. But sometimes if it doesn't have the information, it just goes, well, I'll just make it up. So if either bad strategy, some bad coding, or hallucination, the bad coding, we can point the finger. But if it's a hallucination or something else, who's responsible when the agent makes a mistake with funds?
Yeah, and I think, there's a very good point. And maybe also to come back to, Gauthier, what you were just saying about yield strategies and so forth, I think there's also this angle of, is this information, so is it a little bit more like the legal or in Europe here, right? Is the legal or regulatory side of it, is this purely informational? Or is this already investment advice, right? And then, you want to be very, very clear on which side you're on, right? So we are building, and it's not yet at market, but we're kind of working on it, on something like Coinbase Advisor, right? That's kind of like an AI advisor, because there's very clearly, among consumers, there's a kind of recurring need that isn't met yet today, which is, again, take Coinbase as the example, right? Now I'm here on the platform, what do I do, right? Okay, this is great, I bought my first Bitcoin, or the market has changed, and so forth, right? And so I think, where we think, and again, that's a question of phase that you're in, right? Where we want to be going with this is a sort of more like a informational help for the user at the moment. So they could be querying their positions, they could be generating portfolios, they could be asking questions about what is their risk exposure, how does the market change, and so forth. But then clearly at this stage where we are today, the human still needs to be in the loop, right? Very clearly sort of separate from, this is the information that you got, now whatever you want or think is right to do with that, you go and you implement.
Yeah, I'll tack on to that. The idea of throwing an LLM in front of some trader and being go, is a very jarring experience for users. They don't know what to ask it, especially when it comes to trading. And so Coinbase Wealth Manager, for example, does a really good job of giving you a couple example prompts. What we've seen at Glider is that users generally don't know what they want to do or at all. And so kind of giving them explore pages and pointing them in certain directions. If you're looking for something in the more traditional finance space that is doing this particularly well, public.com just launched agents as well. And the way that they think about these agents is that they can create portfolios, create strategies that run entirely separate from your portfolio. And so you can give it some amount of money, it will buy the open, sell the close, whatever you want. And it's great, but it's not on chain. And so I think that's where they're really lacking. That's something we're really trying to recreate at the Glider level as well. So you can create any arbitrary strategy, type it into a box, go through our harness and our sandbox to actually get that deterministic output that is actually what you said it is.
So basically what it's saying over here, it's to be a little bit controversial, it's wealth management desks across institutions. There's a time that will be over soon because possibly agents are going to be referring us to what to invest. I believe this is very difficult to happen. I think we can try, but institutions, they already have like well-established wealth management desks for years and years and managing a lot of money. So I think this can help with those wealth management specialists that has like all the gut feeling and experience in the market to train those models, but they need to be prepared for that. So I think, like Daniel said, the human, it's extremely important behind it to optimize the process of execution. But there's so many wealth departments over there that will not be extinct.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that too. When you have these off-chain solutions, like maybe you've seen Perplexity Finance popped up recently as well, and you actually have to connect your like 20 different accounts, your Fidelity, your Robinhood account, your Circle account, Coinbase account, whatever. That makes it really, really difficult for it to actually like pull all this information from 20 different sources. When it's all on chain and there's one user who comes in with a wallet, we can actually see everything that they've ever done. And we can say, oh, have they used Uniswap? Great. We can provide them this molded experience through the application rather than somebody who probably spits up a new wallet and we're like, okay, we don't know anything about them. Maybe they're not crypto native. We give them this different experience. So I would say that wealth management will become hyper personalized because you actually know so much about the user insofar that it's not private. And we could talk about privacy as well. But
And currently, I like the way I like to call it in our company is like our developers are augmented with AI. Like they're like cyborgs. They have AI that helps them analyze large amounts of data. Traders can also make use of this, and that will help them take better decisions, I think. And that there's always a human in the loop, at least for now, where they can understand if the strategy that the agent is taking makes sense and make sense of the data. So I think it's useful.
Yeah, but I still think that at the end of the day, I think agents will be more efficient than most wealth managers out there. And yeah, I think we're working into that direction by providing automation and different types of agents to monitor the markets. So yeah, I think we're going into that direction for sure.
I think this is a very fun topic for us to discuss. But when we talk about like imagine. 100% agree with you that on-chain, let's say metrics or your history is much easier than connect all your trading platforms, your banking institutions. But how are you going to bring this history to Bank of America and ask for a loan? How credible will be your reputation on-chain, on Uniswap, when you have so many watching trading, many people sniping out there? So this credibility of your own chain track record is still unbalanced with the real world. And that's when we're talking with Daniel, we mentioned about the credibility, the reputation about the agent with identity permission and authorization will be crucial, is a must-have.
No, definitely, but I still think you can have like agents, without having history, you can have like a way to have an agent which really personalizes what you want. Like you can customize the risk, you can customize how it executes.
Policies.
And this is what we need in finance and in DeFi is personalization instead of like these pooled vaults when people don't know where their funds are. And this brings more transparency and more personalization for people to access the space.
So we're almost done in terms of time. So last question, just real quickly from each of you. I'd love if you have an idea. Obviously, AI is the future of everything for us. Like, everything is going AI, and we just have no idea even about. It's been so quick of a time already for things to change, and it's 2 or 3 years already, and now so much is going to change so quickly in front of us. We can't really know where this is going. But very quickly, do you have this convergence of AI and digital assets? Is there something that you think we are overestimating and something that we are underestimating? Just from each of you, kind of the hot take. What do you think we are totally underestimating about AI and digital assets, and what are we totally over?
Okay, I don't know if you meant this by sequence, but I'm just going to start
Whatever.
this thing. I think we're probably overestimating 2 things, right? One, I don't think that crypto and I are going to converge on the model layer. I think, what we're going to see is that AI will decide and crypto will settle. These things are going to be different, right? And I think the other thing that are people sort of overestimating, overly positive about, I think, is AI will not necessarily lead to decentralization of compute, right? I think rather crypto will not necessarily lead to decentralization of compute. So I think rather crypto will be the infrastructure and will provide the means for AI to start engaging in an agentic economy and to be paying and to be settling and to be doing transactions. So I think these are two things, like I would say, misconceptions in the market at the moment.
So we have 1 minute 20. Quick answers.
Yeah, I think we're underestimating the difficulty to build actually good crypto rails with AI augmenting it, right? Where you see OpenAI replacing and destroying companies, every single day. I don't think you're going to see that in crypto because it's a very niche subject and actually takes a while to build. We're overestimating the power of a lot of these foundational models to make decisions for us. You're not going to give money to an AI and just say, have at it, go make me money. That's never going to happen, right? That's a trading firm. That's a hedge fund. So don't just blindly give your money to an agent.
Yeah, to be quick, I think we're underestimating the fact how much AI can bring adoption in the Web3 space by simplifying the on-chain user experience. I think that's going to come way faster than we think, and it's the missing part for this. And we're also underestimating how much AI and humans can really create something magical, and I think this is what we're gonna see in the next months.
I agree. I think it's AI and humans together, which is the great power at the moment. We'll see what the future holds, but for now, I think that humans still should be in the loop.
We're still needed.
Yeah.
For now.
It's not over.
I think we're totally underestimating the identity crisis. That's simple, because whenever happen, the action, the trail, and something goes wrong, the regulatory and compliance will ask who authorized this. And if you don't have the identity crisis solved, not just for agents, but for everything else that is doing on-chain combined with AI, that can collapse fast. So I think we should stay paying attention on this and close with that.
Fantastic. Please give a huge round of applause to my rock star panelists. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Signal Week.